What's up YouTube? Capital G here. More cards revealed from Battles of Legends. Let's talk about some fake number monsters and also appliancers. We'll start with the water cards. So there were 3 water cards that were revealed. I'm gonna guess that these were from, well, I'm pretty sure that they're from the Zexal anime. The first card is just, it's like a water extender. It's called Silent Sea Nettle. It's a level 4 water aqua monster, 800 attack and 1300 defense. Both of the effects are hard once per turn. If you control a water monster, you can special summon this card from your hand. You cannot special summon monsters the turn you activate this effect, except water monsters. Second effect, you can banish this card from the graveyard, then target up to 3 water monsters in your graveyard, shuffle them into your deck. So for the most part, this card is just like a generic extender for any water deck. Basically, if you're playing Marincess or you're playing like Mermail, Atlantean, archetypes like Marincess already kind of lock themselves into water anyways, so that can be just a nice way of, making, I don't know, or getting an extender on field, maybe making something like Bahamut Sharkin, the totally awesome, a lot more consistent. Even in Mermail, they kind of can do the same exact type of plays. Mermail sometimes want to go into some different things out of the extra deck that are not water, so maybe a little more limitations there, but definitely a fine card. Now, when we get to the Exceed monsters, and they're both rank 4, the first one is the fake number 4. This is Stealth Kragen. So Stealth Kragen is a rank 4 that is water, 1900 attack and 1500 defense. Requires 2 level 4 water monsters to summon. And the first effect says all face-up monsters on the field become water. Second effect, once per turn during the main phase, this is a quick effect, you can destroy 1 water monster your opponent controls, and if you do, inflict damage to your opponent equal to half the attack it had on the field. Effect number 3, if this Exceed summon card is destroyed, special summon Kragen Spawns, that's the next Exceed monster we're going to talk about, from your extra deck up to the number of materials this card had, and then you can attach 1 water monster from your graveyard to each of them as materials. So this card is actually pretty damn nutty. I mean, again, if you're playing anything that's water based, you're playing like Marincess or Mermail and stuff like that, because they can easily summon rank 4s. This is a pretty legitimate card because you do get non-targeting removal. Yes, it is still destruction based, but it is non-targeting on that pop. Basically, anything your opponent has face up on the field is subject to just being blown up by this card's effect, and you get some burn damage as well. But what I really like about this card is the fact that it floats into other Exceeds. I mean, as long as your opponent destroys this, you can basically just summon even more Exceed monsters for free. And we're going to talk about the next Exceed monster that you do summon, because it's kind of like a low-key loop for these guys. The next card, the one that you can summon off of the last Exceed, is Kragen Spawn. This has the same exact stats and makeup as the last monster, but different effects. Even the materials to summon it are the same exact. First effect, once per turn during the main phase, quick effect, you can destroy 1 water monster your opponent controls. So very similar effect. You don't get the burn damage, and also this card doesn't make everything on the field water, so keep that in mind. It doesn't you're not guaranteed to pop something with this card. Second effect, that this card special summoned by a numbered Exceed monster is destroyed. You can special summon other Kragen monsters from your graveyard up to the number of materials this card had. Then you can attach 1 water monster from your graveyard to each of them as materials. So one of the really cool things about these cards is, when they're destroyed, you summon equivalent to how many materials that each of one of these guys had on them, right? The thing is, these cards don't they don't detach materials for their effects, which I think is pretty cool, because they both technically have removal built in, but you don't actually have to like detach anything to get the removal. The removal is just kind of free. So basically, let's just say you were to summon the fake number 4. You summon fake number 4, it becomes, it goes to your opponent's turn, you pop a monster, then maybe your opponent kills this guy and it has like 2 materials. Okay, well then it basically just it floats into 2 copies of Kragen Spawn, And then if your opponent kills like the Kragen Spawn, you can actually just float right back into the fake number 4. And it's kind of like, it's a lot of resources that you're able to generate, a lot of floating just from 2 monsters in, you know, kind of like an XC package, especially considering that you're almost guaranteed to get at least a monster pop and some burn damage out of the package. So I think these cards are really strong. The biggest problem is, I think it's gonna be about extra deck space, because like I would say at minimum you're going to need to run like 1 copy of the fake number 4 and then probably 2 copies of the Kragen Spawn, so that is 3 extra deck spots. And obviously the Nettle can put all the cards back so that you can do the play over again, but you know, duels don't really last that long where you're going to be probably doing that very often. But overall, definitely some cool cards. Anyways, let's go ahead now and let's talk about the appliancers. So you guys might remember appliancers from the Yu-Gi-Oh! Reigns anime, and if you didn't, well, you'll probably remember them from, I believe they were they in last year's Battles of Legends? I'm pretty sure they were in last year. They definitely came out in Battles of Legends. I'm gonna say that they were from last year's Battles of Legends. So they're getting another Link 1, and they're also getting one of Rabupi's spell cards from the anime as well. This Link 1 is Appliancer Propel Lion. It's a Link 1, well, I just said that. When attribute, 1200 attack, and it points up towards your opponent. The material is simply 1 Appliancer monster, so you can even use a Link monster to go into this. It cannot be used as Link material the turn it was Link summoned. This card can attack directly. Effect number 2, once per turn during damage calculation, if this monster battles an opponent's monster and is co-linked, you can change the opponent's battling monster to 0 during that damage calculation only. Effect number 3, once per turn during damage calculation, if this card is not co-linked, or if this card is not co-linked, battles an opponent's monster, you can change that opponent's monster to 0 attack during that damage calculation only. So not a real difference between the effect number 2 and the effect number 3. It's kind of like the main effect of this card, well, other than it can just attack directly, which, I mean, that's always kind of cool, because if you're in time, it's like a free way to win. It's not an effect that activates, or, you know, if you need 1,000 damage for lethal and appliancers, this makes it a lot easier. But I like the fact that this is really, really good non-targeting removal for some of those more difficult cards to out. Think of things like Red Eyes Dark Dragoon. You're telling me I can just summon any Appliancer monster, you know, basically just attack into Dragoon, activate the effect, the Dragoon's attack becomes 0, and then I can just run it over. If you're dealing with things like, you know, Eldritch the Golden Lord, really big monsters, you know, 3,500 attack, I can just run over that card. Well, assuming they're in attack position. So this card is definitely very solid. I don't know that you need multiple copies of it, but like in general, I think that the effect is just really good. Then we have Appliancer Conversion, which is a quick play spell, and both of the effects are hard once per turn. The first effect says, banish as many Appliancer Link monsters in your main monster zones as possible. Then you can special summon your banished Appliancer Link monsters up to the number of monsters banished by this effect. Second effect, during the main phase, if this card is in the graveyard except the turn it was sent there, you can banish one other Appliancer spell and trap in your graveyard, add this card to your hand. So the second effect of this card is obviously great. Who doesn't like free recycling in Yu-Gi-Oh? I mean, this card just puts itself back into your hand for absolutely no cost. The first effect is crazy, and I think it actually has some insane potential. I think you're gonna play this the way that Rabupi used it in the anime, because you're basically banishing a bunch of your main deck Link monsters, but the thing is, you can summon those same exact Link monsters back. And if you put 2 and 2 together, that means you can get a double battle phase, essentially. I feel like this is how Ride of the Valkyries should have worked. Like, let's say you got 3, you know, Link monsters in your main monster zones, and you go battle phase, attack your opponent directly, activate your conversion, and just summon those same exact monsters back. You're in the battle phase, because this is a quick play, and you can just attack with those monsters again. So basically just gives you a second battle phase, essentially. I mean, yeah, you can use it probably for some other things like dodging, targeting maybe, but I think the highest ceiling is going to be using it as a second battle phase. And I was like, man, if Konami was going to make getting a second battle phase this easy, like why doesn't Ride of the Valkyries, or why couldn't Valkyries work a lot like this? But I don't know, definitely a cool card. And the Link one is it's definitely very spicy, just because it allows you to basically run anything in attack mode just over as long as the monster can be destroyed by battle. Anyways, what did you guys think of the cards? If you thought any of them were cool or you have any thoughts, leave it in the comment section below. Thank you guys for watching as always.